bigger further on. Really, to be a good bioweapon, it's got to be airborne. And I think it's pretty clear that unless this mutation occurs, that Ebola is not yet airborne, except for the fact that micro droplets, whether through a sneeze or a cough or even a laugh from an Ebola-infected person, does become airborne. It isn't to the same extent that other viruses like the flu are, where merely breathing around and it lingers in the air can infect somebody. But still, it's clear that this is contaminating other people who have not had real direct contact. But it is more difficult in the sense that so far the 48 people that they've been monitoring in Dallas don't have the signs of Ebola yet. The deputy sheriff that thought he had Ebola turned out to be the flu. He has not been contaminated, but several others are who, as you have pointed out, were in full protective suits. To me, this indicates that this is, of course, extremely dangerous once it gets inside of you. I'm not sure that all of their medical protocols are really all that effective. They talked about the Dallas hospital putting him on kidney dialysis and ventilation. But, you know, there are other treatments in the alternative field that are so much more effective than those. One of those is where you have an external body purifier, you know, almost like a heart-lung machine. Basically, you take the blood out of the body, put it through an ultraviolet light in a machine, and then they put it right back into the body. And
that's what all the rich people do, just as a regular monthly treatment.
And it really works. You know, I had a daughter with MSRA, a real tough staph infection, and she took a couple of these treatments, and it cleared her right up when nothing in antibiotics in the typical medical establishment would do it. So what I'm worried about ultimately is that they are going to use this Ebola scare right now to justify some mandatory or preparatory for mandatory vaccines. And as you know, when you start doing vaccines in a mass-produced way, you get lots of infections, lots of side effects, and it's very difficult to maintain a purity when you're developing a vaccine in a mass thing. I think that for the elite, they probably have some very carefully sterilized vaccines that they can take with some safety.
Well, just to back you up, it came out during the H1N1 that the German elite and even the top brass, as well as the British and the Chinese, had, quote, a clean vaccine made in limited lots for them.
Yeah, and I think that's real and very possible. I mean, clearly, as you said, the vaccine immunology is a proven technology, but it has been a disaster in terms of mass vaccination of people. And clearly, the adjuvants that are put in there and the preservatives, the mercury and the other things in there are damaging to people, especially young children. You know, I think anybody who survives an inoculation does so because their immune system is tough enough to fight it. But you start giving this stuff to children and young people and babies, worst of all, who don't have a developed immune system, and I think that's criminal in its difficulty. I'm not sure, Alex, if this is going to turn into a worldwide panic. I personally, my gut feeling is it's not, but it's going to get bad enough that it's going to engage a great deal of government propaganda, a great deal of government mandatory action, and get people conditioned for obeying those orders. And so, as I've said a long time, you know, if there was ever a need for people to prepare in advance for strategic relocation, whether it's even for a friend, you've got to get out of big cities, you've got to do self-quarantine if these things are coming to pass. You can't go to church, you can't send your kids to school, and you don't go into a big office building because, you know, the amount of contamination that you can get there is significant. You know, people have to watch this carefully. You don't bail out of your job just because of the potential, but when people start to show up ill, in the community, and there's a chance that it could be near an office, you're going to have to establish a policy of taking a leave of absence, hoping that your employer will understand. But you've got to get rural, and very rural. That's
right. Joel Skousen, stay there. I want, because you're one of the leading experts in the world on this, even the other experts we have on to say that. And, of course, you have your Marine Corps training and the rest of it. I want to get your view on how this collapse would work, what a real airborne Ebola outbreak would look like, and the type of disruption it would cause. Stay with us.
My Magic Mud is a tooth whitening powder that removes plaque and detoxifies your mouth. It's safe for your enamel, giving you a beautiful polish and a dentist-like clean after every use. My Magic Mud is also the perfect remedy for pain caused by sensitivity. It strengthens your teeth and gums for a strong, healthy smile. The ingredients are 100% natural and it's safe for children. Simply brush with My Magic Mud right before bedtime for a cleaning you can count on. Visit mymagicmud.com.
Digestive health is key to wellness, and Pro-EM1 is the key to digestive health. Pro-EM1 is a daily liquid probiotic that improves food absorption and supports weight loss by removing toxins from your system. Recommended by doctors, Pro-EM1 is 100% natural, organic, non-GMO, wheat, soy, gluten, and dairy-free. Call us today at 888-611-8025 or visit ProEM1.com to save over $25 on your order. That's 888-611-8025 or PROEM1.com.
What good is a Big Berkey water filter?
We get that question a lot here at BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. And in a word, the answer is protection. Protection from water main breaks, E. coli contamination, environmental chemical spills, pesticide runoff, chlorine taste and smell, and all forms of fluoride. Plus, Big Berkey water filters are the original gravity water filter system and most trusted on the market for a reason. Tested by multiple independent NSF EPA certified labs, they are the gold standard in water purification. At only 1.7 cents a gallon, a single set of filters can last for 5 to 10 years. That means big savings. Big Berkey, the one that's powerful enough to purify stagnant pond water. Get a Big Berkey today at BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. GCN listeners receive 5% off all ceramic filter systems. Visit our website or call 1-877-99-BERKEY. That's 877-99-BERKEY. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
On September 30th, 2014, the first confirmed case of Ebola appeared in the U.S. This, combined with several other unidentified viruses, have some of our customers at 30dayfoodsupply.com concerned about the safety of our domestic food supply, resulting in a surge of our $99 90-serving kits. While we at 30dayfoodsupply.com have no expertise in epidemiology, we are aggressively purchasing raw materials that are currently in stock, and we intend to continue to sell our 30-day non-GMO emergency food supply for only $99 as long as we can. Oregon Trail Foods and 30dayfoodsupply.com keep prices low by buying directly from the producers in Oregon and then pass the savings on to you. Call 541-229-0010 and purchase our 30-day, 90-day serving emergency food supplies for only $99, and $10 ships your entire order to the lower 48. Visit our website at 30dayfoodsupply.com or call 541-229-0010. 541-229-0010.
Next to water and food, you need a safe, storable fuel supply for your preparedness needs. Spare Fuel is the answer. Spare Fuel can be used in any gas-powered vehicle or generator. Spare Fuel is perfect for any unforeseen out-of-gas emergencies. Unlike gasoline, Spare Fuel is safe to store with your other supplies, and it can be stored for many years. Go to GetSpareFuel.com for special pricing. That's GetSpareFuel.com.
Nanoparasites, termed viruses, infect the iron poison population, for they require a host with iron to replicate. Parasites are propagated via the food and water supply and through vaccinations. Those born after 1945 have the vaccine parasite set to activate now. Due to unprecedented iron intake, officials prepare for pandemics because they know the vaccine parasites are activating on a mass scale. This is the extermination plan, people. For further information, go to unveilingthem.com. UNVEILING them.com. Unveilingthem.com.
You're listening to The Alex Jones Show. I'm Alex Jones, and this is the InfoWar. Short segment, long segment coming up, where we'll get into a lot of issues with Joel Skousen. But, Joel, I forgot to ask one question before we get into what a real mutated Ebola, let's just say it happens naturally, would look like, and how the powers that be would try to respond to that. We know they've been testing it for 30 years, manipulating it, trying to create cures for themselves. We know a lot of cures get warehoused. We know that they create a lot of secret vaccines for themselves. Again, that was in the news 5-6 years ago with the H1N1, that the headline, if you type it into Google, was something like, German elite or top government officials in Germany have clean vaccine. and that they have their own little special vaccine. So we know that goes on. But why would the CDC bring people in that have Ebola for the first time ever and then put them in regular hospitals? Why would they send this guy's kids to school for a few days? Why would they not clean out the ambulance? Why would they not follow the containment that is already federal law and federal policy? Why would they ignore the default?
Well, it's a tough question. I do think there's a great deal of inertia in the medical establishment. Everybody thinks they have protocols at Dallas for these types of things. They aren't as strict as the CDC protocols or at Emory Hospital, for example, one of the top in the nation. But a lot of these things happen, and people are scrambling. I mean, for example, the first hospital that Duncan showed up at, and his symptoms weren't high enough. You know, I think Duncan came into the country absolutely knowing he had Ebola. He quit his job without telling anybody he was leaving. That indicated that there was some ulterior motive there in getting to the United States. I think he checks himself into the hospital there, and his symptoms weren't developed enough to get a conclusive diagnosis, even though he was eager to tell them that I'd come from Liberia. Should have been a warning signal. But I think we're dealing with people who haven't got into this. They've been given some general instructions if there's a pandemic, but when it comes right down to it and you're facing with something, there's a little bit of denial. People aren't up to speed. It takes one of these big mistakes in order to get people on notice.
So it's more of the learned helplessness that the system has engineered into Americans to be totally unself-sufficient, totally spectator-based, that people are just blindsided?
And totally dependent and trusting on the medical establishment. That is the biggest mistake people can make, is to trust the medical establishment that they know what they're doing. They have a built-in hostility towards natural cures, and while I'm the first to admit that these things are really tough bugs, and that I'm not saying that a natural cure, once you get fully developed, Ebola is going to save you, but it certainly will help make your immune system stronger if you prepare. And there's lots of information on the internet. Here's an issue that we need to really discuss, though, Alex. It's about the mutated forms that happen. It's very difficult to experimentally change Ebola into something that's bioweaponized, except by introducing it to massive populations and letting each of those unique immune systems deal with the virus and wait till the virus mutates itself. And that may be one of the prime things that's happened here, is trying to get a mutated form by allowing this to spread widely among the population.
Exactly. That's what a lot of experts are saying, is that, oh no, what if bad actors or terrorists get a hold of any of these people and get a mutated virus? Well, the CDC and the UN are in there with tens of thousands of patients getting blood samples, and you know those are being sent off to the bioweapons labs.
That's right. Now, here's what happens, though. Remember that if you're going to do a bioweapon, and you're going to protect yourself as the elite with a special vaccine, you really have to wait till you get to that mutated form. And they haven't got there yet. They haven't got to the totally airborne. And once they get to the airborne form of Ebola, they've got to then develop a vaccine specifically for that. So you see, if you're going to put something out now and you're going to expect it to mutate to be a more bioweapon effective thing, this isn't the time to do it. I think that's why I'm saying I'm not very confident this is going to turn into the worldwide pandemic, because it is so far very difficult to transmit.
Well, Joel, I agree with you, because I've just studied the modus operandi of this scientific technocracy. That's my word for them. I want to get your word for them. Is they do test things incrementally and then build up. Like their false flags get bigger and more complex each time. They like to try to organize things. They're very OCD.
Yes, and I'll agree, Alex. And I think we're in this process of testing and probing. It's just like chemtrails. Chemtrails are very real, but they keep changing the pattern, changing the chemicals. They're trying to do something and not necessarily succeeding. That's why they gave up on HAARP. It wasn't interacting and augmenting the effect as previously desired. That doesn't mean they're going to stop chemtrailing, and it doesn't mean they're going to stop experimenting with bioweapons. But as I say, this is a progressive threat to us that won't happen until they're fully protected.
All right, worldaffairsbrief.com. Get the book and film at Infowars.com. We'll be back with what would happen during a real outbreak.
The Empire's on the run.
Stay with us.
Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.